We've all been there, right? You buy a concert ticket, you see the price, and you just gotta wonder, where does all that money actually go? Well, today we're gonna follow the money and find out what the financial life of a musician really looks like.
All right, let's just jump right in with a super simple scenario. Picture this. You just dropped $100 on a ticket. It's for your favorite band, and you're super excited. And you probably figure, hey, a good chunk of this is going right to the artist. I mean, it makes sense, right? But is that what's really happening?
Yep, there it is, $100. That's our starting point, the face value of that ticket. And we are going to trace every single dollar, every single cent, and see where it goes on its little journey. So, I want you to take a guess. Just a quick guess in your head. After everyone gets their cut, the venue, the roadies, the lighting guys, the bus drivers, the whole shebang, what's left? How much of that $100 do you think the artist actually, takes home as pure profit? $50? Maybe 30? Even 20?
Get ready for this! The answer, and this comes from a study by the National Independent Talent Organization, is a measly $8.16. No, I'm not kidding. $8.16. That's it. So the big question is, how in the world does $100 get whittled down to just over $8? Let's dig in.
Okay, to solve this mystery, we've got to follow the money trail. First things first, let's look at that ticket price and see who gets their hands on it before the artist can even start paying their own bills.
And believe me, that $100 starts vanishing fast. Like right off the top, bam, $22 goes straight to ticketing fees. Another $30, that's for staging costs. The sound, the lights, the security. We're not even a minute in, and more than half your money is already gone. Then the promoter and the venue take their slice, which leaves the artist with a gross share of around $40.
And this right here is the key. That $40, that is not profit, not even close. Think of it as the starting pot of money they have to pay for everything else, their tour buses, their crew, their hotels, and once all those bills are paid, boom, that's when you land back at that tiny number, $8.16.
So that begs the question, right? What on earth costs so much that it just demolishes more than 80% of an artist's income from a single show? Well, let's talk about the crazy high cost of just hitting the road.
The numbers here are just mind-blowing, and this data comes from Royalty Exchange. A basic one-month tour, we're not talking superstars here, can run you over $50,000. For an artist in the middle of their career, that number skyrockets to almost $300,000. And if you're a top-tier arena-filling act, hold on to your hats. We're talking nearly $60 million. In fact, one manager for a huge band said it costs them $750,000 a day to be on the road. A day! And that's whether they're playing a show or not.
So where is all that cash going? I mean, it's a laundry list that just goes on and on. You've got production and all the equipment. You've got to pay salaries for the whole crew plus their daily spending money. Then there's hotels, transportation like tour buses, insurance, and marketing, and of course the commissions for managers and agents. Every single one of those items gets paid out of the artist's slice of the pie.
Okay, so when you see these insane costs, you have to be thinking, why bother? Seriously, if the profit is that tiny and the risk is that huge, why has touring become the absolute lifeblood of the music industry?
The answer, really, is that the whole game has changed. A study from the International Journal for Multidisciplinary Research puts it plainly. Album sales just aren't a thing anymore, not like they used to be. I mean, when streaming pays you fractions of a penny for a listen, trying to make a living from just your recordings, it's become almost impossible.
This timeline really shows the whole story. Back in the 90s, it was all about selling CDs. That's where the money was. Then the 2000s hit, and you had digital piracy and iTunes completely shake things up. Fast forward to the 2010s, and streaming becomes king. But the money you get from one person listening to your song just fell off a cliff. And that's the bottom line. Artists pretty much have to tour now. It's one of the only dependable ways they have left to actually make real money. Okay, so touring is king now, we get it. But it's not the only game in town. There is still that, let's call it the old school way artists got paid. It's still around, but it's different. And that's the complicated world of royalties. So how do royalties work? Well, they're handled by groups called performance rights organizations, or PROs. You might have heard of one of the big ones in the US, ASCAP. Basically, their whole job is to keep track of everywhere an artist's music gets played, on the radio, in a coffee shop, in a TV show. And then they collect the licensing fees for the artist. It's a totally different system than the simple cash for a ticket deal at a concert. The main idea they use to figure out who gets paid what is called follow the dollar. It sounds simple, right? If radio stations pay a bunch of money in fees, that money should go to the artists who actually got played on the radio. But think about it. Tracking every single song played in every single place? It's a logistical nightmare. They often have to use surveys and estimates. It is worlds away from the straightforward, you bought a ticket, here's the money model of a live show.
All right, so let's put it all together. You've got touring, which is absolutely necessary but costs a fortune. And you've got royalties, which are super complicated and don't pay what they used to. So how does an artist even make it? How do they survive, let alone build a career? The answer is, they have to be more than just a musician.
They have to start thinking like a business owner, an entrepreneur. The arts organization Creative Capital puts it perfectly. They say that to build a lasting career these days, you have to be a smart business person who knows how to handle all of this complex financial stuff.
And Creative Capital gives some really solid, practical advice here, and it's something a lot of creative people forget. You have to actually plan to pay yourself. They suggest a couple of ways. One is to figure out a reasonable annual salary for yourself and make sure your artist fees are part of that. Another great tip is to just add a line item to every single project budget. Call it admin and overhead, and make it 15 to 25% of the total cost. That's to pay you for all the hours you spend not making music, but running the business.
And that's really what this all boils down to. It's not enough to just be a brilliant musician anymore. To make it, you also have to be a sharp financial planner, a budget guru, and a CEO. That $8.16 profit from a $100 ticket, that's not a fluke. It's the answer to a very, very difficult business problem.
So, I'll leave you with this to chew on. In the music business today, what's the real job title? Is an artist first and foremost a musician, or are they an entrepreneur, a CEO of their own personal brand? The truth is, they have to be both. And that, right there, changes the entire picture.